The Oceanex Connaigra, at 12 feet long and over 100,000 LEGO bricks. This is the largest roll-on, roll-off vessel in Canada. It took me a year and a half to complete it. The reason why I decided to go with this ship is because this ship is the container ship that goes back and forth in my home city, St. John's, Newfoundland. It goes from there to Montreal once a week. I thought it'd be a pretty neat idea to make something of this size. The ship itself is minifigure scale, and it is to length of what the real one will be, but in the width it's a little bit shorter. It should hold 10 containers wide, as mine only holds 6 wide. The reason I did this is because when you get so big, it gets very hard to move. So I figured that if I kept it to the one base plate size, it would be easier to move. The ship itself is made like the modular buildings. It all comes apart in sections. So right there you can see, like, there's one of the sections, and then there would be another one. The ship does have some interior work done. As you can see, right here is the control room area. I do have that part there done. It's all to minifigure scale. The back part of the ship is where the vehicles are held. I have both those two sections done. So it can move transfer trucks, cars, pickup trucks. One of my favorite areas of the ship is the lifeboat area. So when I was building this area, I tried to get as much detail as possible. The little boat does come out. And I also put in doors, some ladders, and if there wasn't enough room, well, there's also more that they can use. That there's the name of the company that actually designed the ship, but I also put my own touch on it as well on the other side. I put my own name and my flag. I also put a decal from the company that helped design all the decals for the ship. The front section of the ship was extremely hard to make, trying to come up with a way to get all the angles and get the slopes right. The top of this took me 5 tries. Everything was built by hand, no software programs used at all. So I guess you could say it was building the old school way. If you didn't like it, tear it down and build it again. But the way that I did this area is this section can come off and it joins in right here. These are all the staircases to get to each level of the ship. I added 2 of the cranes. The cranes bring all the cargo, such as food and supplies, up to the different areas that need to be brought to. Tried to get as much detail as possible when building this, even down to the little logos that are on the radar dishes and all the flags that are on the actual ship. The lights can move around a little bit. I used over 20,000 2x2 tiles. Over 4,000 was used just for the deck of the ship, and the rest was used for all the different containers. Each level of the containers can come off, so it does actually all have tiling in each level of them. With over 100,000 bricks, it's very hard to find them all in the one area, so I got a lot of them from Bricks and Minifigure store. All the tiling came from LEGO website, And anything else that I couldn't find, like the red paneling, I ordered on Bricklink. And whatever else that I did have out of my own collection, I used. About 2 years ago, I built a smaller container ship. After I built it, we were all sitting around at our lug meeting, joking about building one that would be minifigure scale. No one thought that I would actually be serious enough to do it. So I found some 2D drawings online, and I took those drawings and I blew them up into 9 different sections. I then took the pictures just by looking at them and trying to build it as close as possible as I could. Everything was built by hand, and it was only just looking at pictures that I came up with this design. I used 1x1 round studs to give a water look to it. I used the white ones to give it a foam look to make it look like the ship was moving in the water. This decal was one of the harder ones to put on because all the different slopes and tiles used. So what I did was I took them and I put them on a base plate, and then I used a knife to cut them. So then at least this way they'd all line up when I actually put them on. I think it turned out okay. This is some of the different companies I used for sea containers. I added a couple of my own personal touches like Newfound Lug, that's our LEGO user group. And I also used a decal from the company that helped make all the decals. This is a closer look at the sea containers. As you can see, these are the single ones. The doors open and close on those. And there is some room for cargo if you wanted to put some in there. And then when I was building the ship, I tried to cut down on the cost. So I tried to make them with the least amount of bricks as possible. So I came up with this idea. Cut down on all the tile and the snap brick that was used, but they still get the look. The single ones, the idea came from a guy named Nick O'Donnell. He posted a picture online. I took that picture and then I tried to make my own. And then this is what I came up with. This is the ship without any containers on it. As you can see, all the tile is still there. So I tried to get as much detail as possible. So when building the ship, I noticed that it was going to be huge and I wanted to be able to take it to events. So I built it in modular sections. Each section comes apart into 8 different sections. There's 9 base plates used. This area here just shows how they connect. We have the connect pins, so they just interlock and it holds it together. And then when I'm at the event, I just put a couple of 2x4 tiles to give them a little bit more extra grip. But the front section is on 2 base plates, and because of all the different curves and angles, I couldn't really break that one up. So I kept that area together. That area weighs over 50 pounds. The whole entire ship itself weighs 280 pounds. There's a lot of brick used on the inside that you don't see, just to be able to hold the weight of all the containers. This is another project that I worked on. It's my LEGO oil rig. It has over 10,000 bricks. It stands about 3 feet tall. It has a flare boom, 2 working cranes, living quarters where the workers can eat and sleep. If there ever was an emergency, there's all kinds of lifeboats on the back area. And how did the workers get back and forth to the oil rig? By a helicopter on their helipad. This was a fun project. It took a while to build it. When I brought it to its first event, it actually tipped over in the car into about 1,000 pieces. So it took me a few months to rebuild it. This is a smaller container ship that I made that ended up becoming the idea to make the big one. I used 2 of the fire boat hulls, turned them back to back, so this one actually does float. And this here is the Oceanex terminal building. There's located in St. John's, so I wanted to build part of the city port.